possibilities of predators. But I am on the baby search this afternoon. I want to find all things little and new, all those brand new sparks of life. That's what I'm looking forward to. But this gorgeous view needs a couple seconds to be taken in. I think it's stunning. Oh, won't you all jump on board for your live safari through the African bush? So, like I said, welcome. It's warm, it's 29 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are going to have a bit of a rolling start because I want to go to the den. Being overcast is sometimes the den's active at this time of the day, and this morning when we had finished drive, June was still at the den. So let's just be hopeful that we'll see that little cub finally pop its head out. I really am looking forward to that. I also want to find a baby chameleon tonight. If it doesn't rain, that would be awesome. Anyway, my name is Trishala, and I've got Gert on camera with me this afternoon. And like I said, this is your live safari. So do send us all your questions, all of your comments using that hashtag WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat stream. Or you can go over to our website, you can register, and you can use our question box. And our lovely kiddies, who I love getting questions from, please use kids' questions at wildearth.tv, and you or your parent or guardian can email us any questions you like. So, rolling start, like I said. Straight to the den. Now, we've had lots of elephants all around, and I want to see some elephants too. That would be great. Tristan had an awesome elephant sighting this morning of a tiny newborn elephant, and lots of noisy herd members, probably very excited about the new life, much like I am this morning. Find some cute little baby squirrels would be awesome too. It's been a baby bonanza across lots of the locations today, and I wanted to continue. So we're almost at the den. I'm going to check on the Battis nest as well. And then I'll let you know if I see anything cool. And I'm sending you to Tristan. Forgot about that.
Well, while Trishala is checking the hyena den, we are checking the road at this stage, and there's a very good reason why, which I'll show you fairly shortly. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got Marcel, and it is, well, a beautiful afternoon for a game drive. There's a bit of clouds, there's a breeze, it's not too hot, so it's perfect for us to be able to go and explore. Now, there's two interesting things that are on the ground here. The first thing, which I don't know if Marcel will be able to get because it might be a bit close, is this, which is a female leopard track that's walking down the road, and I think that could be from Tlalamba last night. I'm not 100% sure. I just want to double check. It would be interesting if it is, because that means she would have come from a different direction than where she was seen. She was seen on that side coming this way, so she would have had to have gone around and then down and up. But we'll see. We'll follow that just now. But the more interesting tracks are the ones that are on this side. So over here, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of lines that are going along the road. Now, typically when you see these kind of markings like this, that is what looks like a drag mark. So it's basically something that has been dragged along. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because what's being dragged is actually not by a cat or a predator, so to speak. This drag mark, if you follow it all the way along, eventually you'll find a track that is here, and I'm going to show you it over this side because it's going to be easier. But there is the back pad and toes of a baboon. And so either what's happened is this baboon has got a young one that is dead that it's carrying around, or it's been hunting impala lambs and has caught a lamb and has been dragging it up the road and out of this area. So I don't know if anyone saw it on the dam cam, but it's not something you see that often. Normally, kind of drag marks are associated with hyenas and leopards and lions, but this particular one is from baboons, which they do in the summer months. You do see them hunting these little impala lambs. It's a bit of a shame when you see it, but it does happen. All right, now what I want to check quickly with this leopard track, I mean, the baboon tracks are on top, so we know that the baboons must have walked here after the leopard. So the tracks for the leopard don't look fresh, if that makes sense. It looks like it was from last night, so that's why I'm thinking it's Hlalamba. But like I say, I'm not sure which side she was seen from on the dam cam, because this one is coming from Quarantine side and not from Hyena Road, which is where she was last night before she was seen on the dam cam this morning. So it looks like she cut off this side. She didn't go there, so maybe it was her that came this side. All right, let's just check quickly down Twin Dams Road, just see if there's anything there. Sometimes it just takes a bit of time. I did hear some guinea fowl making a bit of an alarm call. It wasn't for long though, so I can't be certain it's something too serious. It could have just been a Wahlberg's eagle that came over, or, you know, they bumped into something else that just gave them a bit of a fright. But they were calling up towards Tumbeta. The other problem is that there are guests at Tumbeta, so I can't go check that waterhole yet. I'm going to have to wait. But let's just go down the road a little bit here, and then we'll check up Wahlberg's Nest just to see if we can see any signs. I suspect, though, that very much that this is Hlalamba and not the freshest tracks. They didn't look great, I must be honest. When we were following them down, they looked as though they were a bit disturbed by the wind. They didn't look really nice and kind of crisp and what you would expect. The baboon tracks are far clearer, and the edgings of those baboon tracks are nice and sharp, whereas this leopard track is a little bit kind of blurred, if you want to call it that. The edges have eroded slightly from the wind. You guys are also very nervy. I mean, I know she's got a baby, but you can see they are quite twitchy. I wonder if maybe Hlalamba's not still around here somewhere. There's a termite mound up above, behind where that impala is, up this slope that goes right to the Tumbeta waterhole. And she likes sitting on that termite mound, especially if there's guests in the camp. She waits for those guests to leave, and then she goes down to the water to drink. Layla, yes and no. So obviously a leopard is a predator, and so baboons will alarm call and will shout. Inherently are quite nervous around leopards, because leopards do baboons fairly regularly, particularly male leopard, not so much female leopards. But in saying that, I've seen many a leopard chased by baboons. They get a lot of big males. If they see it's a young individual or a female, often they'll really bully them and chase them around. So it's a kind of a bit of a, depending on the situation, depending on the cat scenario. It's not one of those that's as clear-cut as yes or no. You find that at times baboons are scared of them, and at other times baboons, out of their fear, will try and kind of almost fight back, if you want to call it that, and intimidate them. You see here the guinea fowl are here. They look fairly chilled. The reason why I say it could be the Wahlbergs is because where we are directly across from us in the Mulawati is the Wahlbergs nest, so they would fly this route if they were going back and forth to the nest. But they seem very relaxed right now. They're actually quite a useful bird when it comes to finding predators. They very seldom alarm call for nothing. So if you hear them alarming and you can see them up in a tree, then you know straight away that there is a leopard around. Funny enough, for leopards more than anything else, they get up into the trees and they really kind of go crazy up there. It's a non-stop call that they make. If it's something like a snake or a bird of prey, often they're still on the ground alarm calling. But with leopards, they straight away up into the highest tree that they can find. So when you hear them going and not stopping, and it's a constant call for a long period of time, then you know that there's a cat kind of walking around there. But these guys are being really chilled. They're not making too much noise now. It was just briefly that I heard them earlier. Also, could be at this time of the year they do, make the same call when they're breeding. Funnily enough, they have that same kind of alarm. I don't want to say alarm call, but it's a little bit different. It's not as intense as when they see a predator, but it's quite close. And so from far, often you hear it and you think, oh, maybe there's something, but it's just them going through their kind of breeding rituals and talking to one another, essentially. Strange looking birds, though, aren't they? They're so prehistoric looking with that blue head and that little kind of helmet and those feathers with those little white spots all over them. Uniquely beautiful, maybe, is a good way to put it. They very strange looking creatures, these guys. Looks like they're going to disappear. All right, let's just carry on and see. I haven't seen any other signs on this road. This road's a bit tricky because it gets quite hard here. It's not that easy to actually pick up any tracks here at all. That's like I say, take Wahlberg's Nest. That's a much easier road to double check. But what it looks like is when that leopard came down, it went straight down towards the dam, which means that it would have been seen by the dam cam, I'm pretty sure, unless somehow it managed to sneak across when the camera was on a different position and over the dam wall without anyone noticing, which we know can happen. Some of our leopardesses are pretty good at, in fact, even leopards like Mulawati are pretty good at avoiding that camera. You find their tracks going right past it, and it gets missed sometime. And that's just because of how quiet they are, and if there's no alarm calls to bring attention to it, then it can be a little bit tricky. Nope, still nothing here. There's one big game path that I want to check that goes to that waterhole, so we'll know straight away if there's something in this block. And if there has been moving and they've come across. The other problem is I don't think anyone actually drove that road this morning at all, so pretty sure those are last night's tracks. All right, in the meantime though, while we scratch around here and just see if we can find anything, let's send you down to Tswalu and Kyle with the beautiful landscape.
Well, if it's anybody that's going to find a leopard, it's the leopard whisperer, so I've heard, eh? And a very warm welcome to everybody. Dumela. Welcome to the Green Kalahari. Welcome on board here at Tswalu Kalahari. And a wonderful afternoon it is. My name is Kyle. Behind camera is, I nearly said Glenn. Owen. Thumbs up there, Owen. Yes. How's it going? Welcome, everybody. My name is Kyle. And what an amazing scene we have in front of us. Look how green it is. It doesn't get greener than this. If it does, I'm absolutely going to be jumping for joy. It is just busting with this beautiful, beautiful soft, but in these parts there's just this very, very vibrant green pushing through. We have come east this afternoon, and we are going to be looking for anything here on the eastern sections of Tswalu. We are going to be looking for lion tracks or buffalo tracks, and hopefully we get lucky. So we'll be starting east, and we'll be going and meandering directly to east, and what we'll be doing first and foremost is using those watering holes and searching for tracks, and then obviously judging on the age, then obviously it's if we would utilize those tracks to follow up or not. So tracking obviously a very important exercise. So from the watering holes, if we do find tracks, so what we'll do is we'll do something that we refer to as closing the block. So actually going from the tracks where they would leave into the block so that we are minimizing our impact on the environment. We will then use the road which encases that section where the lion tracks would have gone in and ensure that the lion tracks do not come out on the other side. And lions love using roads, so it's fairly easy to track them down every now and then. And if the tracks don't exit that area, we know that they're inside there. And then what I'll do is get on foot, track the lions to exactly where they are, and then we make the shortest distance possible to them, just to ensure that we are operating here with the utmost respect. different shades on the mountains there in the south. A little bit of cumulus coming from the northwest. And then there's a little birdie Owen spotted for us. What might you be? That's a chat. Nice round eye. Uniform brown colour. So chats for me have very distinctive eye shapes. I found they got a very, very round eye. This seems to be a chat flycatcher. Very heavy beak and that uniform brown colour, and then that eye, and just the way it's sitting. That is a chat flycatcher. Very nice bird, obviously very easily overlooked by most people because of its uniform and drab appearance. It's not colourful and songful like most birds, but it's a very beautiful bird to put on the list and really get to understand in a deeper sense. But we're going to leave this chat here. We're going to continue east, and we're going to send you over to Trishala with a leopard tortoise.
I have a slow-moving friend here. It is a leopard tortoise. Trying desperately to hide its face. It's being harassed by some ants. I wonder if there's a little ant's nest nearby that it's inadvertently probably walking over. The ants are going quite crazy around it and still are. I can actually see the little hole that it would have walked over as it got to its spot there. And they're herbivorous, so the ant's not going to be a tasty treat for them, just an annoyance. And this type of weather is really, really what it likes. Being a reptile, obviously, it needs some warmth to get going, but also needs moisture. And when it's too hot, it's also a problem. So this kind of temperature, 29, it's dropping just a little bit, and it's very humid. It's just the right kind of weather for it. In fact, what would make it better is if there were a slight drizzle. It would enjoy that very much. But once the temperature drops too cold while it's raining, then they also not very happy with that kind of weather. So it's nice to see them all out and about, because that's a really good cue as to the changing of the seasons. And we've been seeing so many of them lately. Tortoises, land snails, frogs, all of those giving us the indication that summer is well and truly upon us. Besides the fact, of course, that it's been really, really hot some days. But we're still waiting for those big rains. I got a question there. I'm just going to grab the name again. It was about whether tortoises can be aggressive. Zay, I think it was Zay. It was whether tortoises can be aggressive with one another. They can during the mating season, especially. If there's one female and two males and things like that, then the males will often fight each other in slow motion. It can sometimes be comical to watch, but nonetheless, it's a very, very serious matter to them. They can butt heads and ram into each other. It's like two tanks, really, hitting each other. Armored vehicles. And they can get quite aggressive. But most of the time, it's a very slow-paced aggression. But they can hurt each other, definitely. All right, this one is hiding successfully, and we're going to head off to Chitwood Dam since we've already checked the den and there was no activity. So I'm going to send you over to Grant with a giraffe.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Anbion Pinder. And I'm sure you all heard that, but that was a very loud thunder strike that's just happened above us. And but we have managed to find the mother cheetah and her one cub from this morning, for those of you that were with us this morning. My name is Grant, and behind the camera we have Glenn this afternoon. And yeah, thank goodness for now the rain has stayed away, but there's lots of lightning and thunder happening all around us. So for now we've got the cheetah, and we are going to sit with them and see what they get up to. It seems as though they've been sleeping pretty much all day. They haven't moved very far from where they were this morning, and just as we've arrived, the little cub has gotten up and she started to get a little bit excited, and she's been running around quite excitedly. Playing and jumping in this long grass. But at the moment you can just see Mom that's busy grooming herself. And that cub, the young female, is just lying down in the grass. She looked as though she might have found a stick or something to play with. And you see how well they camouflage in that long grass. Just the tips of Mom's ears sticking out there. And you'll notice that they are black in color with just like slightly white or lighter tips. And that is quite important for the young cub. So when Mom is moving through long grass like this and busy hunting, or she's just moving from point A to B, the cub will use those that black color behind the ears as markers to follow her mom through the long grass. And Mom is grooming herself properly there. So it is drizzling a little bit now and cooling down quite nicely. What we're going to be doing is sending you across for now to one of our colleagues who's searching for a leopard, and we're going to see if we can get another view of these cheetah.
Well, while these cheetah are being cooperative, our leopards are not just yet. It's like I say, it's not that those tracks are steaming fresh and that I thought that there would be a leopard very, very... But I'm just checking the drainage line off of where those guinea fowl were, just in case whichever leopard that made those tracks maybe was still hanging around. I actually thought about it, and could be that those are tracks for Shadulu, given where she was last night. It's very, very possible that she came down towards the dam and then headed south again. She has come down that way before, down and then curls back up towards Timbeta. So that is possible that it was her. But we'll just kind of check around in this area and just make 100% sure that she's nothing in this drainage line section. We're not quite in line with where those guinea fowl are just yet. We're approaching that area. This little section in front is kind of where. And when Kalamba was a little bit younger, not so much these days, but when she was a little bit younger, she used to really enjoy... There's a big tambuti thicket on my left-hand side. She used to like lying in amongst these tambutis. She could hide really well in there. So it was one of her favorite little spots to spend a bit of time. So always when there's alarm calls in this area, I always like checking just this section, because she's often quite sneaky and in amongst the eroded sort of parts of this area in those tambuti thickets, where she can camouflage really well and sleep and not have to worry too much about heat or being seen that easily. The thing is, though, is there's no squirrels alarm calling, there's no birds, franklins, really, other than those guinea fowl making a bit of a noise. Everything else seems pretty quiet, so I'm not convinced that there is anything really to worry about this side. But you see there's a little bit of water here. That is why it's a good place for a leopard at this time of the year. So behind this little watery section that you've got here, you've got a big thicket area at the back. And so they can lie in the thicket, get water here that is very, very kind of concealed. There's not a lot of things that will see them drinking here, so they don't have to attract so much attention. If they go to the main dam, you know, you can imagine how many animals will be able to see them from that main dam, whereas here they can drink in the drainage line, in the thickets, and just live a kind of leopardy life without worrying too much about the attention that that's going to bring. But alas, today, nothing. There's also a little pan that Hosana used to love. He used to always be here. Found him many times at this particular spot. Miss those days, if I'm honest. He was such a cool cat and gave us so many amazing sightings. You kind of forget about just how good he is, or how good he was for us, and how many times we were spoiled with unbelievable behavior from him. It was a very, very special time, and those years following him will always be some of my fondest. All right, we're going to carry on. We're going to see, hopefully, if we can pick up something a little fresher in terms of tracks, or actually the animal itself.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name attached to her, so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag, which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Goodness, look at its wobbly legs. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe we've actually seen it. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh no. Oh, it's okay, little one. Okay.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hello everyone, I am Yapi and I am a safari guide at Anbion Ngala. My favorite animal is the lion, because 99% of the time it doesn't do anything. And the 1% of the time it does, it's just awesome.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, welcome back to Tswalu. Very warm. We decided to stop the car and just appreciate the beautiful color. Not only these bipinnately compound leaves, very funny term for lots of little leaflets on one leaf, and then also the color of these beautiful seed pods. So we have just gone through the flowering period, and it's been quite an amazing period that we've gone through. So together we have seen these beautiful and very important ecological role players in budding. So they would have produced these tiny little, almost pom-pom-like flowers, and the whole tree would have been totally encased by these beautiful little flowers. And it's a very insects cannot resist it. Yellow is the scheme that you want to use if you want insects to come and do your job. And after those little pom-pom-like flowers were pollinated, this little structure would have emerged, and they've still got quite a way to go. So if Owen can just zoom or punch straight in there, you're going to see that the seed pod has a beautiful velvet-like coating right over. It's actually very soft and very furry to the touch. And they're very tiny little hairs. Now that I think about it, I actually don't know what the hairs are actually there for. Now that I think about it truly. But thinking about the role that these seed pods play is tremendous. So they would be on the tree for about 10 months. And from there, you would have seed pods dropping off one by one. And that is just the tree's way of ensuring that over a long period, you are distributing your genetic value. You don't want to drop all your seed pods at once, especially around one given area. So within these seed pods, they're still going to grow up to another easy 3-4 centimeters. In total, they're about, they're about 10-11 centimeters. Large ones of big trees, they're about 10-11 centimeters. And when they're fully mature, they'll have this beautiful gray, light gray coating to them. And what will happen is there'll be multiple seeds within one seed pod. But the seed pod is not only spreading the tree's genetic value, it was also very important for various insects. And if you think about insects, there's some wasps that actually lay their eggs inside the buds before the buds have transformed into this over here. And this is the perfect spot to house your little larva. And when the little larva hatches, it will actually encase itself within a seed and actually consume the seed in order to accumulate enough material or stuff for this little individual to pupate as an adult. So just thinking about the tree, my hairs... Willow, great question. Good afternoon. Thank you for your question there. Does anybody eat these seed pods? So many things eat these seed pods because they are so nyam. The nutritional value in seeds are great because of what they need inside for that little seedling to finally germinate as a sapling, so a tiny little plant. It needs all of its goodness, all of its value inside that pod. So eating this right now, it's not that great. It's still developing seeds inside. There is nutritional content in it, but when it is a bit more developed, when it's got seeds in it, it is jam-packed, full of value. And if you think about it now, we are in the favorable period for animals. But when we start pushing over into the next couple of months, we start going into the drier, leaner times. And animals will actually solely focus on these little nutritious packages to actually push them through into the next rainy season, which is quite remarkable. So are not only just playing a vital role in spreading its genes, but becoming nourishment, becoming a housing apartment for various insects, and then as well as encasing its own little seeds inside there, which is very important to encase or incarcerate for now your genetic value before it gets spread. And from that great question, does anything eat it? Things like duiker, grey or common duiker will eat them. Things like giraffe, kudu, eland. Obviously, those are animals that are able to browse quite high, but then also when the seed pods fall, they will consume them here on the ground. And when that little animal consumes it, it is very important that that seed goes through the tummy of that animal, because it actually wears off a coat and it is in the perfect spot when it is in dung on the ground. Then it is in the perfect high nutrient area for that little sapling just to put down a root. And like I've mentioned before, they put everything into their roots. It's basically like, that's why any of our young viewers listening, that's why you got to listen to mommy and daddy. You've got to learn in the beginning because you've got to have a strong foundation, just like these trees. They put everything into their roots because it is what is eventually going to carry them over years and years and years. We're talking about 100, 200, 300 years in terms of their lifespans. But really remarkable trees. And if you just look over here, let me just find one or two quickly, Owen. There is lots of pugnacious ants scurrying all over these trees. And if you think about insects in these trees, they are like that. They are buddy-buddy forever. Because the tree not only provides a perfect, beautiful environment, it provides housing. So if I just bend this little thorn and branch over, look at that. Look at that tiny little hole. Have you got it, Darren? That tiny little hole would house... so that tiny little hole enters into the hollowing of that thorn, and that can house 5 or 10 little ants. And that is the perfect spot for these little animals to be homed. So if you think about the tree and these little insects, it is a symbiotic relationship where they are helping each other. Here's a spider. You got him? Just in front of my finger. Oh, okay. I'm going to try and ID this little guy quickly, but I'm going to send you over to Grant, and he has got a cheetah for you.
Welcome back, and look at the view we've managed to get of these cheetah. Just lying, well, the cub at the moment lying very flat next to mom. And what you won't be able to hear, unfortunately, because it is quite quiet at the moment, but that little female is busy purring, just like a house cat. Oop, the thunder gave her a bit of a fright. Now, if Glenn goes in a little bit, you might notice a little red patch on mom's leg. So mom is on the left-hand side. And if you look at her, that's her hind leg, the front or inside of her hind leg, almost like her groin area, she's got quite a big open gash. And to us that might seem quite bad, and of course it is, but these animals are incredibly tough, and a gash like that, at the moment it hasn't affected her movement, but it will be quite an irritation, and mom will lick that wound regularly to make sure that it stays clean. And so unfortunately it will stay open, but it will heal. And it's just a flesh wound, so it hasn't had any impact on the way she's able to move. But we will constantly monitor that and make sure that there's nothing, it doesn't get infected or doesn't get any worse. But that is more than likely a little wound that she's picked up whilst hunting. So it could be from a number of things. If she tried to take on an animal with horns or tusks, like a warthog or an impala that's got horns, those tusks or horns could have been what did the damage to her leg there. But you must also remember, every now and then when this cheetah goes into a thick area, she will be going after something like an inyala. She might, as she's chasing, bump into a branch or something that could cause that injury just through running into it. But it's quite unlikely that something would cut her open on the inside of her leg from running. So my thought is that she took an animal down, something like an impala with horns, and in the tussle that horn managed to gash her leg open. So Rosalind, thank you for the question. Rosalind is asking what is the top speed that a cheetah can run? And cheetah have been clocked at speeds of up to 100, 110 kilometers an hour, but more typically around about 90 k's an hour. On Phinda though, if you look just over my shoulder, you'll see that there's some pretty dense bush, and they tend, on Phinda, the cheetah tend to hunt in these thicker areas where they don't have to go at their full speed, and they can, by not going at full speed, they can be way more agile and nimble, especially in those thicker areas, and it makes them quite successful at catching things like inyala when they go into those thicker places. But again, that is potentially where she could pick up an injury if she knocks into a tree, if she makes a mistake. But the reason why she chases them into those thicker areas is hoping that maybe one of those inyalas will make a mistake or will bump into a tree or something, and then she's able to pounce on it. And we were talking about the the back of the mom's ears, another thing is the tail. So as they swish their tails, you'll notice that the tip of mom's tail is black and the tip of the cub's tail is white. So again, mom is on the left and the cub is on the right. And you'll see that little white tip on the tail of the cub, and mom's is black. And mom is actually missing a portion of her tail, which could have been taken off by pretty much anything. A lot of different animals will chase these cheetah, and so mom could have been running away from something like a lion or a leopard, and it just managed to nip at her tail. But a female cheetah like this will even be chased by something like a big zebra stallion, because he knows that the cheetah is potentially dangerous to his harem, to some of the youngsters in his harem. He will chase and actually try to kill a cheetah. So it could have been something like that, but more than likely another predator like a lion or a leopard. And you see how they're lying back to back like that, trying to cover their surroundings and make sure that they are able to detect any danger. So from this open grassy patch, we are going to send you off to Shala, who's at a waterhole.
We have made it here to Chitwood Dam, and here we have a lovely water monitor, a Nile monitor, with quite a big belly. What have you been eating? It's walking away from the water's edge at the moment, and with all the water birds around, there could be a lot of nests on the ground there, like lapwings, ground nesters. And there's some lapwings around, so I wonder if it's going to come across a nest. I love the way they walk with such swagger, one may say. What you're hearing in the background are some males getting their testosterone on. Impalas. Oh, there's some fighting. Wow, things are getting quite intense there. It's the type of sound that you really don't expect to come from impalas. Oh, love watching them when they're like this. They have a surge of testosterone. I think this is a good time to remind you guys that Wild Earth has some exciting things going on, and if you'd like to learn more about them and become a Wild Earth explorer, do go over to our website, wildearth.tv/explorers. Our water monitor has come to a roadblock in the form of a slight ledge there. There's some water on the other side, so I imagine it would just plonk in. But maybe it's seeing something tasty. These guys are still going crazy. And lovely assortment of antelope on the clearings just to the north of Chitwa Dam. Lots of waterbuck, impalas, and one lonely territorial gnu, or wildebeest. Kinsey, you'd like to know how deep this dam is? Can't say I have been or know how deep it is, but the dams here tend generally not to be deeper than about 2 meters. Maybe 3 in the middle, but not much deeper than that. You can see that the hippos are living happily in this water, and they won't, because they can't swim, or really they can't even float very well. They're constantly porpoising off the bottom of rivers and dams, and they tend to be around a 2-meter depth, and they look quite comfortable. A good way to tell, so near us here, within 20 meters from the shore out to the dam, it's definitely about 1 meter deep, 1.5 meters, nothing more than that, because I can see there's a hippo with its nose poking out. So it would be standing, because remember they can't float very well. It's not porpoising up and down, it's stationary. There, that little nose. Imagine you were swimming and you thought, ooh, what's this cute little nose? And then this massive barrel 3-ton body came out and revealed itself to you. It would be shocking and incredible, and the last thing you saw. Do you want to know something funny? I'll tell you. What I thought was a hippo's nose before I used binoculars is actually a dung ball. It is a floating elephant dung. So then I can't conclude what the depth of the water is here. I can conclude, though, that elephants have been around, and that floating dung ball is a clear indication to me. There are a lot fewer hippos in Chitwa Dam than they were, say, last year this time, or the last couple times we visited it in the past. I wonder if some of them have moved to Buffelshoek Dam, which would be a straight walk north for them, since our population at Buffelshoek Dam of hippos has increased to the most I've ever seen in the dam. I counted 10 the last time I was at Buffelshoek. And the hippos are spread out quite a bit. And there's actually 3 different, well, actually 2. One was 2 of them actually fighting out of the 3. But there seems to be 2 sets of pods in this dam. Well, I'd say loosely, because there's so few hippos in here that they probably don't have many females that they've collected into their harem, the bulls that is. Because at the back there's a hippo that's displaying, and then further towards us there was also a hippo that was displaying and spraying dung all over the place, and that's territorial behavior. Maybe there's a sufficient space between them that they both can be territorial, given that there are very few females around. But there are 1 or 2 younger hippos, not babies, but younger, maybe from last year. I really miss the sounds and the smells here at Chitwa. It's nice to come back and revisit. Beautiful, really, really nice. Well, we're going to take a quick drive around Chitwa. Maybe there's a chance of Kuchava and her cub. That would be lovely. And while I do that, I'm going to send you over to Grant with a cheetah, not a giraffe like I thought last time.
Welcome back, everyone. And there has not been too much change here. These two are very, very comfortable and content at the moment. So it was really, really hot earlier on, and I think these cheetah would have been feeling that heat. But at the moment, with the clouds that have come over and this breeze that's blowing, it's a really nice temperature at the moment, and so the little spot that they found over there in the grass seems to be really comfortable. And you see as they put their heads down, just the ears flicking. The mom has cleaned that wound a couple of times. That wound, that's a good question. So because the cheetah will be licking the wound quite regularly, trying to make sure that it stays clean, the wound is going to stay open. So not like a scab that you and I might get if we got a wound, and it would scab over and then heal nicely underneath. Her gash on her leg will be kept open, and so it will slowly have to heal from around the edges of that wound. And so, sure, if I had to estimate, there wouldn't be a definite answer, but probably a month or so she's going to have that wound. Unfortunately, it does take quite a long time because of the fact that she keeps it open. But keeping it open is also a good thing, because if some dirt had to get in there and it made a scab over the wound, then she could be susceptible to some kind of infection because of that dirt. So by licking it and constantly cleaning it, she keeps it clean of any dirt. But also her body will push out any bacteria that might get in there. Very relaxed at the moment. Every now and then there's quite a strong breeze or strong gust of wind, and it shakes the bushes or the grass around us, and get a little bit of a fright and sit up and check all around us to make sure that there's nothing approaching. Now, these cheetah haven't eaten, as far as we know, for a few days now. And so I was quite hopeful that, especially with the cooler weather, they would have possibly been a little bit more active. But I think considering how hot it's been in the day today, Mom's just enjoying this cool weather, trying to get some rest. You'll see with her head like that, she's falling asleep with her head up. You see how it's leaning further and further to the right and slowly dipping down. And look at that, as she's falling asleep, her ears are still moving, trying to pick up on any sounds around them, any sound of danger. Oh, here we go, that gust of wind. Mom just making sure all is good. You can see if you compare the sizes now, it's quite a good view to see that cub is really quite big now. And she's approaching around about the year mark, maybe even 13 months. I would put her at about 12 months now. And so almost the same or similar height to Mom. But she does definitely still have a little bit of growing to do. She's still got about a year left with Mom. Still lots of learning to do, especially with hunting. And another thing that she'll be learning a lot from her mom, which is very important for cheetah in this area, is she'll be learning the area around her. So which parts of Phinda are safe for her to move around, which parts are safe for her to rest, where the best hunting is, and all of those things will be passed on from her mom, who was also born on Phinda and has grown up her whole life on Phinda. But just an amazing privilege to be able to sit with these cheetah and just watch them. And the cub is definitely making the most of her opportunity to sleep. I did mention earlier that she was running around and had gotten a little bit excited, so I think perhaps we arrived just at the end of her play session. Because she hasn't really done too much while we've been here. And again, they've only moved, I would say, about 50 meters from where they were last seen this morning. So I think with them just lying very flat and actually trying to get some rest, we are going to leave them here and see what else we can find for you this afternoon.
We're listening to the wonderful sounds here. You'll be able to hear some gray-headed sparrows, red-billed oxpecker. There's also a woodland kingfisher. Lots of wonderful sounds. Let's take a moment to hear them all. It looked like a red-billed oxpecker with a chick that it had fed. I just saw the little beak coming up to beg. Oh, the day of babies continues. That is just awesome. I'm thrilled. See, when you just stop to watch and listen, you find the most incredible things.
A lovely group of red hartebeest in the sea of green. And that color just stands out so prominently. Typical of them to be in herds. They've typically been herds about up to about 20 individuals. And this would be a herd over here. So this would be a lot of females within this herd. And you could have a territorial bull associating himself with them at this point in time. Obviously the strongest. And yo, look at all these swallows on the left here, Owen. Whoa. Just stay there, they're going to come back in now. They're going to come back, just stay on the water. Here they come. There's a lot of common swifts here and Bradfield swifts coming down for a drink. Look at them. Wow. Look at that. How cool is that? So these birds remain on the wing a lot of the time. They are designed to
Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure we'll get Swallow back in no time. I am continuing my journey through Chitwa, but I want to try. It gets quite warm on this side. It's very strange how it can be raining just a couple kilometers away from home, from Djuma, or be sunny like it is right now. But if we look across to Djuma, the clouds look quite grey and very thick. But on Chitwa, it's almost blue skies. Look at that. So I want to try and head out of Chitwa and back towards home in about half an hour or so, because I want to go to the den. We need to see this new chick. I know that means that we might not spend time finding something else. Did I say new chick? New cub. We may not spend time finding something else, but it's really worth it to sit and wait for that opportunity to see the cub for the first time. It's such a special thing. And often when we go about focusing on something, you'll find a whole lot of other things along the way. And that's part of the fun of being in the bush. In fact, it's most of the fun of being in the bush, that you can just not have any idea what you're gonna find. So there's a certain road on Chitwa that I often see, or whenever I've found Kuchava, she's been on that road or close to that road. So we're gonna just try our luck. Will you land for us? There's an African grey hornbill. It didn't want to land for us. Well, not in our view. I've seen some really gorgeous red-billed quillias whose beaks are really, really nice and bright red. Just looking out towards the dam in case any elephants come down. Always also wanted to see elephants today. There's a few rocks that are the eastern Chituba Dam that always get me in a certain angle, always over here. So I thought there were some elephants. Anyway, I'm going to go through this dip now and then come out where I would find a Kuchava, generally. So wish me luck. I'm going to send you over to Grant.
Welcome back, everyone, and we've managed to find this bird that's actually standing on a little mound, which I think underneath the grass there is a termite mound, and we've just been watching it for the last minute or two. Waiting for that. That was amazing. So I'm not too sure how well you guys could hear, but that when it drew its neck back, it made it like a zzz sound, and then when it popped its head, it made like a sound. And it's standing up on that little mound just to make itself more pronounced, and that is the first time actually that we've heard it call. So what it's been doing is opening its mouth, and it looked like it was yawning and almost warming up to start calling. And if you look at this bird, you look at the front of it and all the way going down onto the belly, you'll see that black color and then a really camouflaged sort of brownish gray color on the wings and the back. And if you know what the bird is, you can let us know. And we'll see if hopefully it calls again. There we go. So that call is to attract mates, but it's also a territorial call that it makes to announce itself to other birds in this area. And more especially dusk and dawn is when you hear it calling the most. And that will be when sound will travel the furthest. And you can see, I mean, at the moment it's standing up on that mound to be more pronounced and more present to anything that might hear it or any other bird that might hear it. But as soon as it goes off of that mound and into the long grass, it will really vanish and blend in very well to the grassland around it. So for those of you that don't know, it just because of that very prominent black that runs down from the chin all the way along the neck and onto the belly. It is called a black-bellied bustard. It's part of the bustard and korhaan family. And here on Phinda, it's one of our star birds. One of 20 which are quite special to this area. It has got quite a wide distribution, but it is one of our favorites here on Phinda. Senak in Africa. I'd have to look that up and get back to you. But in southern Africa, I'll just count here in my bird book quickly, but I can't list them off the top of my head. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 species for southern Africa of bustard. But I would have to check up for you and see if maybe there are other species of bustard in Africa. But those are the 5 that we can see in southern Africa. Now the bustard is slightly smaller than the most of the other korhaans and the other big bustards. So the black-bellied bustard is one of the smaller ones. Its size is 62 centimeters, so in height from the bottom of its feet to the top of its head. And so it is, I mean, quite a big bird, but it's nowhere near the size of a a Kori bustard. So yeah, I mean, that was really nice to see that bird calling. We're going to send you across to Tristan now, see what he's got.
Well, nice to hear birds calling. Also nice to spend time with Tandy's little cub, especially because he's posing like an absolute champion on top of his termite mound. This is the most relaxed I've seen him. He's not caring at all about us. You can see he's a little bit hot. He's panting quite a bit at the moment. But I'm so glad we managed to find him because Marcel is on camera with me today, and Marcel has never met this little leopard, and it's always a treat when you get to meet one of the kind of royal offspring from Tanny's lineage. Now, what you will notice with this little cat is he's up on a mound, but I suspect that he actually might have a kill nearby. The reason why is if you look underneath his chin, you'll see that there's a big red spot underneath where he hasn't cleaned his face properly. So he's been eating at some point, either last night or during the day today, and the way that he's breathing, it's not that hot, the sun is not out, so he shouldn't be breathing that heavily. So I think maybe he has some sort of food item nearby. What that is, I don't know, but it must be sizable enough that when he's been feeding, he's been putting his muzzle kind of inside a carcass. So it's not something like a lizard or the likes, which he'll be hunting a lot of at this age. Maybe he's got himself a little lamb or a bird of some sort. That's probably what my guess would be. I don't see anything in the trees close to where we are. But either way, it doesn't really matter because, well, he is being an absolute little treat. Hello, boy. Is he not magnificent? I love the way that he looks. He's not quite the same color as his mom. He's a much lighter colored leopard and more yellow than gold, but he's got beautiful little eyes and typical young male kind of look about him with those big ears that don't really fit his body. Cute though. Like I say, he's getting better every time I see him, and it just goes to show how sensitive viewing and kind of, a slow introduction to vehicles and eventually lead you to sightings like this where you're able to, find these leopards and spend time with them, even though they're without their mom and at a younger age. Now, typically in a wild situation where there was no access to vehicles or anything like that, most leopards of this age wouldn't let a noisy car get anywhere near them. And when he was obviously little, he was found by James, and slowly but surely through the months, one vehicle at a time, he's starting to understand that we're not something he needs to worry about, and he's starting to get a lot more comfortable with the fact that we're here. Now, he's not a cat that I would say that you'd be able to off-road heavily with, so if he's walking, he's not one of those that you can crash through thickets and kind of, he's not going to pay attention. Then he'll get a little bit kind of, I'm not scared, but he'd be a lot more aware of what's going on. But when he's sitting like this and we're sitting quietly and we're just not moving around too much, he's far better and is pretty happy to let us sit in his company, which makes us happy. You can see the flies are bothering him though. Cute man. So Nina, the thing is with this is that it's very seldom that a leopard is going to go without eating for a long period of time, but the maximum kind of time I would say would be, it's probably longer, but 2 weeks they start to become so emaciated and weak that finding food becomes almost impossible. So you're seeing leopards generally looking for food every second or third day, but after about 2 weeks they are absolutely gaunt. They really then need a meal, and I reckon about 3 weeks they would be at the point where they'd be too weak to actually find food. But look at how he's lying now. You can see it's tricky to spot them when they lie flat on top of these mounds, particularly a little cub of his size. The angle that we're at is quite nice, but if you were driving along the road, this big false marula that's behind him would make it very, very tricky to spot him if he lay flat like that. You can see there's quite a lot of foliage there, and when he lies with his back to you, that pattern is going to blend in with all of those leaves and sticks and all kinds of other things. So it'd be really tricky to spot. So we're lucky that he's kind of sitting quite proud at first and out in the open. I must be honest, I'm really hoping that from here he moves to my left, because we've got some beautiful rocks that I've always wanted to see a leopard on. They're nice and open and quite a small set of rocks, but very pretty. So hopefully he'll head there at some point, particularly because we don't have too much sun today. The rocks themselves shouldn't be too hot this afternoon. But he's been giving us a run around a little bit this week. We've been looking for him a lot. I'm glad to see him for quite a few reasons, because we know that in the last few days there's been a male leopard at this dam, there's been wild dogs, there's been lions, and we know that Tlalamba was very close as well. So there's a number of different threats that have passed by where he's been kind of hanging out. So you always kind of wonder when you see all of that, and you hope that this little leopard, because of how much Thandi leaves him alone, that he's going to be all right. And so we're seeing him today is a very welcome sight, that's for sure. What was also a welcome sight is Dan's elephants. So let's send you across to him and see what they're up to.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to And Beyond Ngala. Now, I know this morning we were spending a lot of time with zebras and wildebeest trying to see if they would give birth. Now, amazingly, we've actually found an elephant cow who's actually in labor at the moment. Now, this might take quite a long time, but I'm really hoping over the course of this afternoon that she will, in fact, give birth. You can see she's looking quite big and uncomfortable. But good afternoon, I'm Dan. On the camera, we've got BK this afternoon. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time... Sorry, there's another elephant that's just come up right behind us and given us quite a fright. Let's go back to the female. One of the other younger ones has come right up to us. And now that she's coming towards us as well, I'm going to make a little bit of space for her. I don't want to put her under any unnecessary pressure with us so close and around. You'll see there's actually been quite a lot of commotion around this elephant this afternoon, particularly with the other ones. They like kind of get closer. Let's try and see if I can find another spot and try and see if you can have a look just how big her tummy is. And between her back legs, it actually looks like the baby. Let's stop and have a look here from this angle. Looks like the baby might even be making its way out slowly over there. Look how wide her stomach is. Hoping she's in a really good spot, nice and open, nice and clear. And you see how she'll kind of like spread her back legs a little bit, and she's super uncomfortable. She's barely having time to feed. She's kind of like moving her trunk around in plants and grasses, but not really picking too much up. She's kind of just waiting. I think the other ones around as well are just waiting for this baby to come out, as we are. It's something that I've never seen before and will be absolutely amazing. I mean, particularly an elephant spending 22 months, an incredibly long time pregnant, and I've heard it's quite the celebration. Look at the little one, the other one coming up, having a little closer look. Ears flapping, but she's huge, eh? She really is. I'm hoping for her sake that it comes out soon, because she looks really uncomfortable, kind of swaying left to right. The other ones aren't leaving her side though. They kind of moved off a little bit, but now they've come back. I mean, this is going to be a fascinating afternoon. I was going to be spending some time looking for lions, but I think my plan has changed completely. I think I'm going to try and spend the next 3 hours with this elephant, and if we're very lucky, she's going to give birth to a new baby elephant. I mean, this time of the year is filled with life. I mean, elephants don't always give birth at this time of the year. Is the labor painful? She actually hasn't been showing too many signs of of pain this afternoon, or since I've been here at least. I'm sure it is pretty painful. And I'm sure once the process actually really kicks into it, the last stages of labor, I'm sure it is going to be incredibly painful. And there might be some noise from her and maybe even the other elephants around as they watch it. I think it's almost as exciting for the rest of the herd as it is for us. But I'm sure she'll start to show more obvious signs of pain. But look how she's kind of leaning all the way over to the left. She's putting a lot of pressure on her left-hand side. I'm sure as she gets a little bit uncomfortable on that side, she may shift or switch over to the right-hand side, continually do that until the baby is finally delivered. She's kind of walking around in circles. She came back from that side. Now she's going back there, stopping. And her trunk, you see how she's not really picking up anything to feed. Kate, how long will the labor take? It's just a tricky question to answer. I've never seen it happen before, but I've read up that it can take a few hours. And I think similar in humans, each animal is different, and each birth will be different as well. It may take many hours. It may take only a couple of hours. I'm really hoping, it looks like she's been in labor for a few hours already, kind of hanging around this area. Even we've probably been here for the past 45 minutes or so at least. And we've watched the development of that, what looks like a fetus between her back legs, kind of coming out slowly and slowly and slowly. So I'm hoping that we're getting closer to the final stages of labor here. It'll be amazing. I wonder how long it'll take that little baby to actually get up on its feet. I've read up and seen videos of the mom particularly kind of pushing and coaxing it to stand up as quickly as it can. Because if it does lie down, particularly as it gets dark, that'll be a huge disadvantage for the baby, particularly if a pride of lions comes through here. Although that pride of lions is going to have to deal with this mom and the rest of the elephants around. There's only 4 of them that I can see. It's quite a small herd. So this extra addition will be a huge bonus to them. And this big cow, she looks like the matriarch. She's certainly the biggest and the oldest out of the 4 that I can see. And I wonder if she might not be giving birth to another cow who might just follow in her footsteps for the next generation and learn an incredible amount from mom here. She is starting to feed a little bit here now. It's the first time we've really seen her put anything in her mouth. She's kind of been messing around with the plants and the new shoots and the grasses. Oh, she's even dropping quite a lot of it. I don't think her focus so much is on food at the moment. She's kind of like waddling, hey? It does look super uncomfortable. It doesn't look terribly painful at this moment in time, but I'm sure she's in a fair amount of pain. I mean, elephants are incredibly tough creatures, so she's probably putting on a brave face for us here. I mean, you can see that tail swishing, going straight towards that area where that baby will be delivered from. I wonder if there's an amount of discomfort coming from there. I wonder if there's not a few flies as well that'll be flying and buzzing around that fresh blood that might be coming out. And she's trying to keep the flies and the insects away from that area. This is really exciting. What an exciting find this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to spending the afternoon with this elephant and hopefully being able to witness this new lease of life. Look how you see how, remember earlier she was leaning on her left side? Look how she's taken her back left leg. I'm sure it was taking a bit of pressure and she was kind of resting it there. Then the pressure on her right side got a bit much. Now she's leaning completely over to the right. She's kind of doing these circles around. I wonder which spot she's going to do it. I mean, this is an incredibly open area. I wonder if this is a good spot for her. I wonder if she's not going to maybe try and find a more shady, more concealed place. I also wonder if there might not be smaller predators like jackal or maybe even some vultures that come in. If they see her in this kind of state, they'll fly through, because there'll certainly be an opportunity, maybe not for the newborn calf, but maybe for the afterbirth and the placenta. Incredibly nutritious and an easy meal, and one that the mother won't worry about the predators eating either. So now it's just a waiting game for us and for her and the rest of the herd. I hope for her sake and our sake that it's sooner rather than later. It'll be certainly be a spectacle for us all to watch. Seeming to feed quite a lot more consistently now. Gigi, does the mom eat the placenta like other animals? I don't think so. I think the placenta will probably be picked up by those smaller predators I was mentioning earlier, like the jackal, maybe some vultures. A hyena as well, if it came through, would certainly like to take that placenta. And I can imagine an elephant having quite a large placenta and quite a lot of food, in fact. It's coming. See how she's changed her stance one more time. I'm sure she'll, once she does get into that final stage of labor, will almost spread her back legs to make a kind of solid base for her to stand before she ends up kind of pushing it out and dropping on the floor. At least it's not a very high distance to fall to the ground. It seems like she's quite low to the ground, and even almost as if like the baby has moved from almost in her tummy kind of area right to the bottom as it's moving on its way out. I mean, this baby is certainly ready to come out. I mean, there must be an incredible amount of flies flying around her there. You can see that tail is working overtime, kind of chasing them away. I wonder if the other elephants won't be a real good indicator as to when she really is going to go into that final stage of labor. They have several times come right up around her, kind of moved around. I'm sure it was one of her older youngsters or her previous calf who came and even tried to suckle. Mom wasn't too irritated by it. I'm sure she's quite an experienced mom, and this isn't her first birth. But you'll see that younger calf, once this new one is born, will pretty much be not left on its own, but will certainly not be allowed to suckle anymore. She'll leave the suckling rights exclusively for her new calf, who will need that nutrition from the milk. Kind of see when she walks like that, her back kind of like sways between her back legs. Wonder if she's not going to go and find a shady spot. The sun has come out and it is feeling quite hot all of a sudden. Try and find a shady spot. Although it's quite soft underground here, there's quite a lot of fresh grass growth for the impact of that baby that might be falling. There's been times when she hasn't even known what to do with her trunk. She kind of like puts it over her tusks, puts her head up. Those have been the only real signs of discomfort. She's kind of moved to the edge of the clearing there, having a good look. I mean, the rest of the herd has moved through there already, meaning that there isn't any potential danger or potential threat. They would have let her know. She has quite strangely, have a look at what she's doing now. She's been going to the bathroom very frequently. So you see how she's urinating now? She's even defecated once. I wonder if these aren't her contractions that are kind of starting. See, that kind of stance is the stance that we're looking for. I'm going to move a little closer before she disappears. I'm going to try and keep a good look at her and follow her. From a distance, of course. I don't want to... I'm sure she's under incredible stress at the moment. I don't want to put her under any, or even the other members of the herd. I'm sure it's quite a stressful time, and maybe even I'm sure the excitement is on its way, but right now it must be quite stressful for them. Approach slowly. If she shows any sign of discomfort towards us getting closer, I will stop. Probably going to keep a minimum of 40 to 50 meters between us as well. Be as fair as I possibly can to her. How's that spot, BK? You ready? Is that fine, eh? Even in the past few minutes, that kind of bulge has gotten slightly bigger. Kind of moved her under that tree as if she's looking for the softer material or grasses that hasn't been completely destroyed by the sun. Khotso, can the other predators smell the birth? At this stage, I doubt it. I'm standing right downwind of her, and I can't smell anything except for that dung that she dropped 2 minutes ago, which isn't a strong smell, and that's certainly not going to be attracting any predators. And there's no smell of a smell that will be attracting predators at this moment in time. However, once it drops, I'm sure that kind of fresh blood that'll come out, I'm sure that'll attract predators. And if there is a commotion as well, that may also attract predators. See if we can find another spot here. Happy there, Beaks? Oh, she's looking like super confused, pushing her head up against that tree. Her eyes are even closed, with her trunk almost as if it's out of habit going down to the ground to try and pull out some grass. But not really doing it. Oh, you see how she's going to the loo again? Dropping some dung, but only a few balls of dung at a time. And she's probably done it 4 or 5 times in the past hour, which is unusual. Oh, she's kind of pushed her head in there. I'm sure she's actually feeling quite an amount of pain at this point. I mean, she's not showing... Oh, she's not making any sounds of it. But just from her expression, kind of pushing her head in there, her front leg is kind of resting. She's not feeding. Yes, what a strong animal, huh? She's really picked a great spot for us to view her as well. We'll keep an eye on her, particularly with the distance, being extra sensitive towards her. You can see a couple of the other ones in the background close by. I'm sure for that one that's walking by, it's going to be the first birth that one's seen. Seems like it might even be the previous calf of this cow. She's moving into some thicker bush. I'm going to try my best to keep our eyes on her. That'll give us the best shot at at watching this unfold. I'm sure once it all happens, it might be quite quick as well. But all we can do is wait and see and follow her. This will be a first for me, and I'm incredibly excited. I really hope it happens while we've got some light to really watch it and appreciate it. Give us an all-time respect for these animals and some of the hard duties that women and female animals have to do. And I mean, an elephant's completely on their own. I mean, they've got the comforts of the rest of the herd, but there's no one there kind of like talking her through it or explaining what to do, although I'm sure she is quite experienced. How's that, BK? Fine there. She has moved a little bit into the shade as well. She's got some mud on her back. I'm sure at some point today she went and cooled herself down, put some mud onto her back to maybe to even ease this process a little bit, particularly because it is heating up so significantly. Okay, I'm going to move one more time. She's moving into quite a nice area as well. Watch your head, Yabika. There's a bit of water there. I wonder if that's not going to ease her as well. Have a look at everybody else having a drink. Snuggies, how often or common is it for an elephant to have a miscarriage? I'm sure it would be pretty frequent. I mean, at this stage in a pregnancy, I think it would be pretty rare. I think the body would probably abort it at an earlier stage if there was a miscarriage. But I'm sure it would be pretty frequently. I'm not 100% sure on an actual percentage. It would be a difficult thing, particularly in these wild animals, to work out. I'm sure they've got a statistic on captive elephants, in which case I'll have to get back to you on that. But I don't think this is a miscarriage. I think she's way too far along in the pregnancy stage for it to be a miscarriage. Although, you see there was a little bit of irritation there shown to the other younger one. Although we're going to have to wait and see, really, if this is a miscarriage or not, but I don't think so. I think this is going to be a 22-month in the waiting birth. Kind of like arching her back there. You see how her head is slightly tilted up, swaying again. Did she even drink any water? I want to see if her trunk does look like it went in there. It's got a little bit of darker colors at the end. I didn't see her putting any in her mouth, though. It's kind of like that, going through the motions of feeding again. I mean, she wasn't really eating anything, but kind of just, see how she's kicking her back legs there? I wonder if it's not even got a slight itch or it's seriously uncomfortable. I'm trying to have a look and see. You often see, I've seen very heavily pregnant elephants before, and you'll often see the fetus kicking in their bellies. I haven't really noticed any movement, though. You look at the indentations on her forehead. She's an old female. And maybe that's one of the reasons that she's looking so calm. I'm sure if it was a young female or a first birth, there would be incredible discomfort and confusion, in fact. See that little one standing right next to her as well. Almost like holding Mom's hand at the... I'm sure she knows very well that Mom, or the female, it might be her mother. You'll have a look how she's going to try and suckle. You see that one? Very likely her previous calf, but Mom's moving away, not allowing it to happen. You see those little tusks on that little one as well. That can be quite uncomfortable to Mom, particularly when that calf is trying to suckle. Those tusks will push up into Mom. So Mom is being quite tolerant, actually, letting the little one suckle. I wonder if there's not this fresh new abundance of milk that's going to be required for the next few years to keep a brand new calf alive. I think this little one's actually looking more for attention than anything. Doesn't look like it's seriously trying to suckle. And if it was, I mean, those little tusks would be pushing Mom and actually hurting her, and I'm sure Mom would chase her away. You see how she's moved her leg, though? Not that happy with the little one suckling. She is coming right towards us as well. Not that I'm really worried, but I want to try and be as respectful to her as if this is the path that she wants to choose. I don't want to be in the way. Let's try and see if I can do a little loop around again. I wonder if this younger one that's also really close to us might even try and keep itself between us and that female, almost as a sign of trying to help. You know, be respectful to this whole herd as well. If this little one starts to come towards us and tells us to make a bit more distance, I'll do exactly that. She's now standing right in the shade. The little calf is right by her side. I can't see it. I can just see its tiny little legs. Mom is kind of leaning over. If she's not going to spend a bit more time in that shady spot, in which case let's try and reposition one more time, give ourselves the best shot at having the best view if it does happen now. How's that, Biggs? You all right there? Cool. I wonder if the heat on that open area just wasn't too much. Throwing a bit of sand on herself. She's just kind of going through routines as she usually would, maybe as a form of distraction. Paul, how many times does an elephant fall pregnant in a lifetime? And I mean, it'll probably give birth every 5 or 6 years and throughout its whole life. So let's say they live to about 60 or so in the wild and start giving birth maybe around 13 or 14. And then till 21, one calf at maybe 20. Then the next one at maybe 25 to 30. So maybe 5 or 6 calves throughout its life, depending on how old it lives. Shame, I'm really enjoying how that little one, I'm sure it's that one, this female's previous calf, is standing right by Mom's side, hey? Hasn't moved in the past 5 minutes. Maybe that's a sign that we're getting close to this point. If Mom was unhappy with it being so close, she would chase it away. But elephants are such social animals and they rely and depend on each other so much. I'm sure she'll appreciate that extra comfort being so close to her, and you'll see the little one being so close, these other ones coming close, they're almost providing support and comfort to this female. It's really special to see and to witness, in fact. I mean, the fathers really have absolutely nothing to do with the babies once they're born, but the females, they'll spend their entire lives with their herds, and then all the females will be related, from the older ones being like grandmothers to cousins and aunts, and they have incredibly tight bonds which develop over their whole lives. They never ever leave each other's sides, and they rely on knowledge passed on from generation to generation, from mother to daughter, on where food is during certain times of the year, how to find water at certain times of the year, after which rains, where they must go. It's really fascinating, and this little birth is just going to be the next link in the chain. And I'm sure that little one is super excited to welcome its new sibling into the world. I'm sure mom can't wait for it to come into the world as well. I think this female's done a really good job. The sun has kind of just come out, incredibly so. And it's feeling really, really, really warm. So that little touch of water in the shade now, in the open. So I think I'm going to spend a bit of time just watching and listening for the next few minutes. Let's see if we can't hear any signs of discomfort or even excitement from everyone around. I don't know if you can see all those kind of insects that are flying around in the light. They're kind of reflecting, and I'm sure they're driving this female incredibly mad. They'll be flying around that like open area. I'm sure there's lots of fluid that's coming out there as well. You can see that tail chasing them away still. You can actually even hear it. I don't know if you can pick it up. I mean, that tail, those hairs on the end of the tail are incredibly rough. Changing stances and changing positions all the time. It's amazing how wide her stomach is, hey? I mean, that baby's really, really ready to come out. Amazing when you zoomed in like this, you can see the kind of wrinkles and coils on their tail and on their skin. Super thick, super rough skin. But I reckon when that baby comes out, it's not going to be nearly as rough as what we see on this female now. It must take an incredibly long time to develop like that. And those wrinkles on that baby might be like quite close together, almost allowing for the little baby to grow into itself. The little one's kind of moved off. I don't know if it's just got a bit impatient with this process. I can't even see where it's moved off to. I'm sure it's going to need to continue to feed the little one, or take advantage of this time of the day to continue feeding, but not going to go too far. They're not going to just abandon their matriarch in this desperate time of need and this time of joy as well. They're going to hang around close by, and I'm sure if Mom communicated in one way or another, one that we wouldn't even be able to hear, whether it be a little rumble through the stomach, or they've got a way of communicating that they're almost seeing vibrations through the ground, which the other elephants can pick up in their feet, that the other elephants might come running very quickly. They'll kind of form like a protective barrier and a shield around Mom and around this newborn. She's also just waiting, huh? She's just standing there waiting. Hasn't fed at all. The only movement that's really happening is that tail and the odd sway from left to right, kind of shifting weight. I mean, that extra weight to the calf that will be up to about 100 kilos or so is an extra weight that might put a bit of pressure on her. Gina, do they ever give birth in the water? I'm not 100% certain, actually. I'm going to have to quickly check that up. Although, I reckon if they came into labor, I think they'd probably try and avoid it, particularly in Africa, actually, with the threat of crocodiles and hippos being in the water. They might try and avoid it, actually. But let me quickly write that down, and I'll get back to you, Gina. But my guess would be no, simply just because of the presence of, or the threat of crocodiles and hippos. And that's an extra stress that this mother doesn't need to deal with, particularly if they can do it on land. Some signs of discomfort there. Scratching herself in the front, kind of just waiting. I'm sure there are a lot of mothers back home watching that can sympathize with this cow. I mean, I sympathize with her. I've never been through anything like this. She's seeming to be walking relatively comfortably. I mean, all things considered. Move back a bit. See if she even pulls a branch off of that tree. Trying to pull it off. See her use her tusk often to try and get that specific branch that she wants off. Here we go, she'll use her tusk, it looks like. There we go, almost acting as a lever, and it just breaks it over. I wonder what's made her pick that tree at this moment in time. It's like she just moved from the previous quarry, which elephants don't really eat so much, to this tree. Now to the bottom, feeding off some new shrubs that are growing, maybe even some short grass. Nikki, what part of the elephant comes out first? I think it all comes out almost together in one kind of drop. So you see between her back legs there, you can almost see a part of what I would presume to be the embryonic sac, or the whole elephant will kind of drop out in one kind of drop, as far as I'm aware. That's how I've seen in the videos before. It's kind of like this labor process which goes on for hours and hours until it eventually just kind of drops to the floor with a whole lot of fluid coming out. And then it kind of opens up out of that sac, and then the mom will go there and kind of unwrap this sac and get the baby out of there and allow it to take its first breath and give it some time before it takes its first steps as well. Can you see, I don't know if you can see on her face, you see almost where your temples would be, there's that dark like line of fluid. Often, can you see it there? So people often think that male elephants are the only ones that get these kind of temporal sweats, and as you can see, that's not the case with this female. She's very clearly got that stain of fluid from her temporal glands. And when male elephants do go into must, that does happen. It's a sign of stress. But this female is got super high stress levels at the moment, and that's why there is that dark stain coming from her temporal glands. This is an incredibly stressful time. Even for the next few weeks, she may have that stress temporal gland, trying to look after a new calf that doesn't know how to really move its legs even yet. Musa, I think she's going to give birth today. Let's say I'm optimistic. I really hope she does. I can't answer that for sure. However, judging from her discomfort levels, and even in the past hour and a half or so, the development in this process, there is a really good chance that she could give birth in the next 2 to 3 hours. Might even be the next half an hour. Musa, I hope you just stick around with us here, and maybe we might find out. See her stance there, her back legs and front legs are kind of far apart. She's not standing straight upright. Relieving some gas, which I'm sure was quite relieving for her. Wonder if you guys all heard that back at home. It was quite loud, actually. I'm glad I wasn't being downwind of that one when it came. Going to the loo again, urinating as well. Previously, when she's done this in the past, hour and a half or so, it's actually almost, I'm sure with her contractions and her pushing, going to the bathroom actually pushes it out a little bit further. I mean, we're not standing right behind her, so we can't see if it's any further out, although it does look like it's, in the past 2 or 3 minutes, come a little bit further out. Let's see if we can't reposition behind her. So it will take the direct sunlight out of the camera as well. So just judging by what's happened in the past 2 minutes and you asking a question about do I think it's going to happen today, I think I'm going to stick with the answer of yes. And maybe I'm being optimistic, but I think I'm going to have to be in this situation. I really want her to give birth for all of your sake, for my sake, for her own sake as well. The sooner the better. I wonder if we won't start to see legs moving around in that sack that's coming out at the moment. I wonder if the movement of the calf might not encourage it to drop out. I wonder if gravity's going to start taking its toll as well. I reckon gravity might be one of her best friends in the next few hours. It's amazing. She's kind of just walked off for now. I know you can't smell anything, but she's kind of walked through this open area, and there's a lot of this wild aniseed that's around. And it smells, if you like licorice, it smells delicious. It smells really nice. I'm a fan of licorice. Lifting her tail again. I wondered if she wasn't going to go defecate again, almost pushing again and getting that next step. Every time she does defecate or urinate, it seems like it speeds up the process, or it gets another step along in this labor process. Look at that stance. You see how she separated her back legs almost for balance. Kind of frozen in that spot there. now she's going again. I wonder if walking doesn't ease the pain in this process. I mean, that sack is almost swaying between her back legs and hitting her legs. I mean, I'm sure we're all on the edge of our seats here, kind of waiting. Might be an exciting afternoon of us doing it. And if she does treat us, it really will be unique and special. Let's see if I can't reposition one more time. Almost go towards where she's going. The sun's also gone behind some clouds now, cooling it down quite a lot this afternoon already. Just want to make sure I don't drive into the rest of the herd. I'm sure they are also extra alert this afternoon. Looks like a good spot to watch her for a while. I'm actually just going to spend a bit of time in silence here. Let's see. Can you see her feeding if we can't listen to that? Let's see if we can't listen to some of the noises that are around us as well. So I wonder if her, you see how she's going to the bathroom again. It's quite strange for her to be doing this all the time. I wonder if she's not waiting for the cover of darkness to kind of be still and have this undisturbed. I mean, most of the animals are moving around at this moment, and there's quite a lot of activity and attention. Although giving birth in the dark might attract unwanted predators, although a big cow like this is more than capable of defending herself, particularly with the rest of the herd around. She's just moved behind that bush. Let's reposition one more time. So I really hope it happens during the day and that we get to watch it, although maybe it'll happen this evening under the cover of darkness. I wonder how many days, I mean, labor can last several days. But this last stage of labor, which I think she's in, might be a couple of hours. I wonder if she's been feeling super discomfort like this for the past few days. But this to me looks like she's right in the last or final stages of labor. I'm sure by tomorrow morning this calf will be born. Really hoping that it happens sooner rather than later. It's amazing the color difference. I mean, that big gray elephant and that pink, very fresh amniotic sac. So this kind of pink amniotic bladder that we can kind of see is exactly that. It's an amniotic bladder that kind of pushes out first before the calf actually comes out, almost making space. And you'll see them come out together, in which the mom will then kind of separate the bladder and the calf. And I've seen it before on videos, not in person, but of females actually rejecting their calves. And I'm not 100% sure on what that would be. I wonder if it wouldn't be if the female kind of decides that this calf isn't going to be fit enough to survive in the wild, so kind of just rejects it from there on and doesn't kind of waste unnecessary energy in trying to raise a calf that might not be fit enough or strong enough to actually survive. Kalahari child, can an elephant delay the birth? As far as I'm aware, yes, they can. They can delay the birth, particularly by several hours, and that may be to kind of find a better spot to give birth in, better conditions. I've actually been told that lots of wild elephants actually give birth at night to try and have this undisturbed environment. So that might be what this elephant is doing, in fact, is actually kind of holding off before it gets a bit darker to kind of allow herself to give birth. It's not to say that it won't happen during the day. I mean, the beauty of this African bush and being live is the actual unpredictability of it, and that things you read in the books, and obviously they're there and they are factual and true, but they get disproven all the time. I mean, people always talk about lions being solely nocturnal and only moving around during the night, but there's many, many times, and I'm sure you've seen it on the show many times, of lions hunting during the day and moving around in the heat of the day when they really should be resting according to books. I mean, it almost looks like she's gone into a more comfortable state now than she has been in the past hour and a half or so. I wonder if she isn't holding off for this evening. It's almost like that amniotic sac has also been kind of retracted back in a little bit. Although every time she moves, it looks like it's almost dangling on something, wanting to just fall out. And after that sack, the calf will in fact fall out as well. All in one big movement. Almost cushioning the blow for that calf before it hits the ground. It'll be super fragile, that little calf, when it's born. And may take a good few hours before it might even find its feet. But you can see how uncomfortable she looks once again, leaning to the left side. She's been favoring that left side far more than the right side this afternoon. That little one standing on a mound on the left, kind of maybe even following in Mom's footsteps there, trying to feed on exactly the same tree that it wouldn't be able to reach from the ground. It's quite cute, actually, standing on that mound, maybe even on a dead log, right up close to Mom. Okay, so for the meantime, I'm going to stick around here the whole afternoon, so don't move too far in case something exciting does happen. But while I'm sitting here and she seems to be feeding quite consistently, I'm going to send you somewhere else. But don't go far, I'm sure we'll be back here shortly.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the Live Safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, we haven't gone too far. I've just kind of moved around. There's a small little watering hole that one of the other bulls, or younger bulls, it looks like, have come to have a drink at. And I'm sure the female's on her way here. I'm going to ensure that there is more than enough space between myself and this female in particular, but the rest of the herd as well. I want to try and remain as neutral and as sensitive as I possibly can. This is an incredibly sensitive sighting and quite a stressful time in this elephant's life. So I'm going to remain as neutral as I possibly can and give her as much space as I can. I've been keeping pretty much a constant distance of 40 to 50 meters away, and any signs of discomfort that she shows to us, I'll increase that distance as well at any point, allowing her the comfort and the space that she really does need. There's two knob-billed ducks that are swimming in the water there. There she is right at the back. I mean, she is the matriarch and the leader of this herd. And you see how she's right at the back. She's still kind of controlling exactly where they go and what they do. One of the younger bulls seemed to chase that knob-billed duck away. That knob-billed duck seemed to get a little bit close, and the elephant told it very quickly. And those are kind of signs that I'll look out for as well. If I am too close, they'll give me a real good sign and tell me that, in which case I'll make some more space. She is seeming to feed a little bit more consistently here. I wonder if that's not just a different stage in her labor. So what a lovely scene this is here. I'm going to still stick around here. I think this sighting has the potential to be incredibly unique and very, very special. But in the meantime, Grant seems to have found a cheetah at Phinda, so I'll send you there.
Well, it sounds amazing what Dan is showing you guys, or us all at the moment. And we are back in action on Phinda. We had a little bit of a difficulty with our car. We had to take it to the workshop to get checked out, but we're all good to go, back up and running. And we've managed to find another cheetah, and it's a female cheetah. And when we initially found her, she was very skittish. And we are not too sure what happened, but she was behaving very strangely, looking over her shoulder quite a lot and moving quite low to the ground. So something might have happened with her before we actually found her. And we followed her a little bit, and we kept our distance just to make sure that she had the best chance to get away if there was something maybe following her. But we didn't see any sign of any danger for her, and yeah, she's slowly calmed down. She hasn't been looking at us, so and she has stopped looking over her shoulder as well. So she seems to have calmed down now. You'll see she puts her head down to the ground and rubs it, showing that she's quite content now. I think whatever was concerning her earlier, she feels is no longer a threat or no longer a concern to her. But you'll see her ears, you can see how that black sticks out, and then every now and then she actually tucks them right against her head and you can't really see the black anymore, and that's when she's pointing her ears in our direction. And somewhere behind us is where she came from, so that's where we think whatever spooked her might still be that side. We are constantly looking all around us just to see if there is anything. So we are going to stick here, and I'm going to send you across to Dan to see what is happening with the elephant.
So I've just tried to move around a little bit more. They were heading towards that watering hole and kind of moving right towards me, in which case I just wanted to give them the space that they need and deserve. So here we go on the other side. Here is the female again. Moving incredibly slowly. Look at that back left leg kind of up on its heel, resting. That's the side that's been taking most of the weight this afternoon. And as she comes this way, I'm going to be extra respectful and move out again. Just make a little bit of space. She's not showing any signs of irritation towards us, but I don't want to even get to the point where she needs to. Rather be extra cautious. Do a nice big loop around. Just watch your head and hold on their beaks. Ah, here's a really good view of her. See how that back leg, I don't know if you saw it, kicked her back. I'm sure there's that discomfort and maybe a math check. This is an incredible event to witness. Certainly is unique and doesn't happen every day, that's for sure. I really hope, I mean, even this is incredible and quite special, but the final part might be well worth the wait that we've done this afternoon. And isn't she beautiful? I mean, the light in the background, the green around. She really does look majestic, and what a proud mother to be. I almost feel proud of her already. She's already been through an incredible amount. And she seems so calm, doesn't she? Seems as if this is just a small feat, but it's massive and incredibly difficult, I'm sure. So, do elephants ever have twins? Sorry, that didn't quite pick that up so clearly. They do indeed. It's very rare, but they do occasionally have twins. I mean, we're only going to have to wait to see if this one has got twins. But I haven't witnessed twins being born, but I have been there a day or so later with brand new tiny little twins. It's hard enough looking after one baby out here. But then you add a second one, it becomes even more tricky. But it's a very small percentage. Between 1% and 2% of elephant births are twins. So with her coming here as well, let me make some space. It's almost like she's following us around. every little movement that I make, she kind of comes towards us. But I'm going to stick by being extra and even oversensitive towards her. It's the least that she deserves. Let's try and see. It's getting a bit thick here. There's a road not too far away. Let me try and get there and see if we can't find a better way in. Try and predict her path, but not be right in it. Try and get through that gap. What do you reckon be good? Happy with that? Bit forward. Let's have a look and see if we can get it from this gap. Bit forward. Okay, so now we found a good spot. Maybe she will continue to move around. And we're going to continue to watch her and stick with her. But in the meantime, I'll send you to Tristan and his hippo.
Well, Dan, I think you're going to have patience pants. Elephant birthings take a long time. I remember Jamie once sitting with a female in the Mara for, I think it was like 7 hours. And eventually she gave birth to a stillborn, but only after she left, literally as she left, it happened. So it can be a long, long process. Ellie births are not a quick thing at all. Anyway, we, as you can see, are no longer with Tandi's cub. Unfortunately, we had to leave the sighting due to a number of vehicles. Not having much luck this week when it comes to leopards. Every time we find one, we've either got an issue that we need to leave it, or it's the end of the drive, or elephants are potentially giving birth. So hopefully at some point we'll find a leopard and be able to spend a fair amount of time with it. But I'm hoping to maybe get back to him. We're just waiting for the vehicles to go through, and then we'll try and head back into that area. In the meantime, though, we're at Buffelshoek Dam just having a little relaxing afternoon, watching the hippos. We've watched a few waterbuck come down. There's been a grey heron fishing. No sign of our saddle-billed stork or yellow-billed stork this afternoon. Seems they've found greener pastures. Maybe the fishing is not so good here after they spent the weekend in this area. Maybe they've outdone it this weekend, and so they've returned home, wherever that may be. I suspect if you actually check Chitwa, you probably find them all on Buffelshoek. Maybe they might have gone that side. What's also interesting is we don't have as many hippos as we did have in Buffelshoek at one point. Seems the hippo numbers are less. At one point I counted 12 hippos in this dam. Today I've only seen, I think, 5 so far. Maybe there's more, I'm not sure. But it seems as though there's only the 5 of them. I haven't seen that. There was a female with a small baby that was in here, but I haven't seen her this afternoon. I think I can see one having a big yawn. It's that time of the day for hippos to start yawning as they potentially start moving kind of out of the water and off to go and graze. And because we've got quite a thick bank of cloud this afternoon, it's going to get dark a lot earlier, and so you'll find these hippos will probably leave the water earlier rather than later. You can see they're all starting to shift closer and closer towards the banks before they'll then start going out and heading off to go and feed. All right, well, we're going to be patient. Hopefully we'll get another view of Tandi's cub. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to the elephant saga.
Welcome back, everybody, and we're still here. And once again, after moving around, she's kind of chosen a direction to come straight towards us. She's still 40, 50 meters away from us, but if she does keep coming, I'll make space again. I don't think she's really taking too much notice of us, particularly at this distance. We've got no impact on what she does. it is kind of seeming strange that she does want to come towards us. She's not chasing us in any way. She kind of does like these zigzagging shapes. And then it's almost as if she ends up coming towards us. Miva, might she trumpet before giving birth? Maybe if there's some serious pain, she'll almost trumpet in a form of pain. However, there's also a good chance of the other elephants around, when they go towards her, maybe they'll trumpet in excitement at this new arrival of a cousin or a brother. So I'm sure once the process does happen, there may in fact be quite a lot of trumpeting around. Okay, she's also coming a little bit closer, and these other two have come to a watering hole that we're right next to, so I'm going to make a bit more space again. I wonder if she's not coming to this small little mud wallow where the other ones are as well. Let's try and pick a good route. Maybe I'm going to go from behind her rather than in front of her from here on. If I can find a spot to get in here. Let's quickly just do a little U-turn and try and find a spot behind her. Sorry, BK. I hope you're all as excited as I am. It's quite special. Something that I've never witnessed before. And to bring it to you live is quite special and unique. Valley in the right place at the right time, what a privilege. That is the beauty of this place. If you are in the right place and you are at the right time, the things that you can see and witness are really, really special. And the predicting of it is actually impossible. I mean, this afternoon, I think I set out trying to look for lions and lots of cats and things. Those are often the things that people really are looking for. But you come into an elephant that's as big as she is, looking like she does. I mean, how crazy is that? And how special is that? What a privilege. I couldn't agree with you more. And she's just kind of gone behind the bush again. Let me reverse it tiny bit. And a cat and mouse here. Just get this aerial out the way. Amniotic sac is incredibly visible and just waiting to burst. She's kind of walked towards that water where the other ones were drinking. I don't see her drinking at this moment in time. I mean, this little calf, once it's born, it'll probably take around an hour or so for it to really find its feet, with a lot of encouragement from mom and the rest of the elephants, kind of pulling it closer, trying to help it up to stand up. And once it's up on its feet, I mean, the first thing it'll do, similar to most animals, is actually go and look for food. It'll have to try and find mom's mammary glands underneath her front legs, which can be quite tricky to find, particularly if you've never done it before. And you'll see that source of milk. There's a bit of water. Did you see that? Just that little bit though, hey? I mean, that source of milk will be super, super important. And they'll even be suckling for up to about 4 years. So it depends on the genetics of the calf. I mean, if the calf has got quite large tusks, when they start to grow and develop and they start to suckle, they kind of wrap their trunk over the back of their head and push into those mammary glands, which you can see in the front of this female. Can you see that mammary gland? Just like humans, underneath their front legs, or in humans' case, underneath their arms, which is quite unique in animals. And when those tusks are pushing up against mom's chest, it can be quite painful, and mom will kind of chase it away. So that could go on for about 4 years or so. But for the first 6 months of life, or around 6 months of life, it will almost solely be milk. And one of the reasons for that is their trunks. Their trunks take an incredibly long time to really work out how to use them. They've got a really intricate and detailed muscle network that takes a long time for a baby to work out how to use it. Let's try and see if we can reposition one more time. She's moving around with quite ease, actually. I'm quite surprised by it. Incredibly, I almost feel proud of her and how she's dealing with it. It's quite special. And to be so close and watch it firsthand. I'm going to try and sneak by here, hoping I don't bring... I'm going to push this way and extend my distance. It's a bit close, I think. VK, just watch your head underneath here. I'm going to try not to break a camera as well. Let's try and move that. Thank you. That's all right. Cool. Everything seems to be all right. It seems like it's all right for now. She is moving along the road. There's a road right there. I mean, you can see that temporal gland quite clearly now sweating. She is under high stress at the moment. Look at those eyes. Look at those long eyelashes as well. I mean, while I'm in silence as well, I don't know if you can hear some of the birds that are calling. One of my favorite woodlands, kingfisher, was calling just now. I mean, this calf, once it is born, it will be with mom until it reaches adulthood. I mean, the males will kind of almost be adults when about 14 or so, kind of like similar to humans when testosterone starts to develop and they then get chased away from the herd. But if it is a female, it'll be with this group forever. And it will live with its mother until she passes away. But by that stage, I'm sure she would be raising her own calves and continuing this generation, and particularly the knowledge that gets passed on is absolutely amazing. See how there's another one coming through here? Let me try and move around a little bit more as well, moving into a bit of a thicker area. So when I can't see her, so let me go and find a better spot to view this from. I'm going to send you to somewhere else for now. and come back here shortly, see how far along in this process we are.
Welcome back, everyone, and we are still sitting with this cheetah, and she's wanting to hide, so she keeps on going behind bushes, but she seems to have settled down once again. But what we're going to do is just sit and listen to some nice bird calls and just enjoy the sounds at the moment. Once again, as it's starting to get dark, you can see that cheetah is on high alert. She's listening for any sounds of nocturnal dangers that might be getting active.
Still here at the den, things are much more calmer than it was. We'll get a chance to explain what has happened when we get a break from the elephant sighting, which is incredible. I'll tell you all about what's happened here. Also, I'd like to mention that if you want to know what's happening, there's exciting stuff happening at Wild Earth. And if you want to know all about it, go onto our website, become a Wild Earth Explorer. You can learn all about it at wildearth.tv/explorers. But for now, we're just going to listen in a bit of silence. There's Corky's little one investigating the spot where there was some vomit from earlier this morning. And since I can chat to you in this little segment, I'm just going to tell you that Heart was suckling her cub in the same, June was suckling her cub in the way that she normally does, was by plonking her behind into the den. And everyone was very excited, and Ribbon was here. And Ribbon didn't respond in any way. She didn't try to attack June or anything like that, or try to assert herself. She was just sitting exactly where Heart is at the moment. And it was very peaceful. And then Heart came along and absolutely, if she had gotten hold of June, she would have mauled her. It was very intense. There was a lot of giggling, that nervous giggle. And it was very intense. And I found that quite interesting, because Ribbon was not the one that wanted to dominate June, but Heart came in and she just, for lack of a better word, blixened her. Absolutely, just, she had the biggest go at June and chased her off. There's a lot of noise, and now June is gone. And then Ribbon kind of stood around the den and looked in the direction of Heart, almost as if almost as if she wanted to call her back. It was very, very interesting, and I wonder what the relationship between Ribbon and Heart is for Ribbon to behave like that, and for Ribbon to behave almost in support of June and Heart not. It was very, very, very interesting. Anyway, let me send you back over to Dan and that elephant birth. Hope we'll get lucky.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, we've managed to loop around a little bit, and you can see she's still standing reasonably uncomfortably with her back legs kind of on the road and her front legs off the road, still feeding. I wonder if she isn't kind of holding off for the sun to completely go down. I really hope she isn't. But just over the past 3 hours, it almost seems like it's kind of stagnated a little bit at the moment. She's starting to walk a little bit quicker, but that sac is still, that amniotic bladder or amniotic sac is still super visible out the back. You can see between the back legs and only maybe like just more than a foot off the ground. See that tail still swishing around that area. I mean, the insects have gotten a little less, at least around me this afternoon, since it's cooled down a little bit. I'm sure they have around her as well. But you see that tail kind of permanently going, keeping the insects out of that newly exposed area. Let's see what she does if she comes back to the road or if she keeps going straight. I think the road is the path of least resistance and might prove to be easiest to her. Here she comes. Okay, I'm going to be extra cautious once again and make some space for her. Oh, look how she almost waddles down the road, eh? Very uncomfortable. I am kind of like on the road as well, so I might just stay not far away from here while I watch her, and if she does keep coming, I'll just keep going forward. So let's put this spot here. PK, how does that look, man? Can we get her right there, huh? Okay, so I'm in a really good spot. If she does come, for me to make space is simple. I just turn on and drive forward. She's still sitting at around 40 meters, 45 meters away from us. She takes a few more steps, I'll move as well. Anusha, Mom is looking incredibly calm, and I completely agree with you. I'm actually blown away with how calm and how relaxed she's actually looking. She's showing very little. I mean, those temporal glands on the side of her head, as we've spoken about, are showing signs of stress, but she's not showing crazy signs of pain. I mean, there's signs of discomfort, which you can see. And let me just just see if I can have a look. If I've given her enough space, it does seems like a good place to turn around. But yeah, I mean, she's blown me away with how easily she's dealing with this, as I'm sure it's anything but easy. Just want to see if she doesn't quickly pop, if she's still coming on the road. Let's see if she's coming towards us or if she's changed directions. Can't see it, almost like she's moved. She is still there. Oof, throwing sand all over herself. You'll see them often doing that on a hot day to try and cool themselves down, almost act as a form of sun cream. I wonder if there isn't some irritation between her back legs there that she's trying to ooze, or ease rather, the pain or the discomfort by throwing sand. I'm sure, particularly with the fact that that amniotic sac is going to come out and fall to the floor, that she isn't too worried about throwing or getting it too dirty. I don't think there's going to be too much risk of infection at a time like this, particularly with the sand. You'll see if and when that amniotic sac does fall, there'll be lots of fluid that falls out with the sac and the calf, and that'll clean everything right out. You hear the woodlands kingfishers calling? She's breathing quite heavily. If you watch her carefully, like her whole body is like moving up and down with every breath. It's like these slow, deep breaths. Sam, she looks exhausted, don't you think? I mean, particularly that left eye looks like it's almost half asleep. Trying to close. Yeah, we'll give her a bit of space. Just trying to see how quickly she's wanting to come. I'm sure she's going to come onto the road here. Even if we just watch her through the bush. Trying to be extra sensitive. I know it might not be the best view for now, but if she keeps going the direction that she is going, it will be a fantastic view. Here she comes. So I'm going to stick around here, of course. I really am excited, I'm sure most of you are as well, to see if this birth does happen. But in the meantime, while we've got a good eye on her and she's not doing too much, I'm going to send you to Tristan with his leopard, and it seems like it's got a fresh kill.
We do have a leopard, but we have Mom now. So Thandi has just joined, and it's because they've got a kill, as I expected that they did. She's just come in, and she looks a bit confused by all of this. So I have no idea if baby or little guy killed this, or if she did. She looks very full, so I expect that she was actually the one that killed it, and she went for water, and has just come back. But she's kind of looking around, almost checking. Her son is on top of the mound and has not even noticed that she's arrived. Otherwise, I think he would have been chuffing and coming towards her. He's fast asleep behind the mound. But it's a nice-sized impala that she's managed to bring down. So I'm hoping she's going to find a tree sooner rather than later, because otherwise she's going to lose it, I'm afraid, to hyenas. It's a lot of hyenas that move in this area. But she's almost kind of looking at the kill as if to say, you know, I didn't know there was one here. You can see how slowly she's kind of coming in, but her belly tells us that she has been eating. I'm pretty sure that she must have made this kill. I wonder if Cub is going to notice her at any point. He's still got his head down and hasn't picked up that she's here. She's scent marking at the moment. The kill is just in front of her. She's behind the tree there, and the kill is between us and the tree. You'll see it at the base there. There it is. So our suspicions earlier about the cub having a meal was pretty spot on. The problem is that we're not going to be able to stay here for now. As it's starting to get dark, with the carcass on the ground and the cub, it's not a sighting that we are allowed to stay at. If the carcass gets put in the tree, then it's okay. There we go. Cub has noticed Mom now. He's just turned his head over. Let's see if he comes down and greets his mother. See him on top there. He's kind of just turned. She's coming to the kill now. Come, boy. Come say hello to Mom. She's talking to him. Listen. All right, well, I'm going to leave these cats apparently and send you back to Dan with the elephant.
Welcome back, everybody. So we kind of just edging our way backwards along the road here. Still sticking with her. Once again, it's almost like she's chosen the path towards us, which is quite strange. There's another road that's going that way. The rest of the herd has gone that way as well. I wonder if it isn't this kind of connection that we've made in the past 3 hours or so of watching her. Let me focus on reversing here as well. That she's kind of keeping us in her sights while we keep her in ours. It'd be amazing if she just solidifies this connection with this final birth, which I'm sure she's desperate to do. I'm wondering now if she isn't really waiting for the cover of darkness and for it to be really still around and the attention to be completely off her. As I said, my worries and thoughts about giving birth at night would be the presence of predators around. And I mean, although this big female and even the other members in this herd are at no risk really to lions or hyenas, a brand new calf that will probably take about an hour or so to stand up on its feet and move around is incredibly at risk. And to me, I mean, Mom giving birth at night, although it might be cooler and the presence of everyone else is not on her. Oopsie, so I need to put BK into the thorn tree there. Yeah, I think she would be worried about those nocturnal predators that might be moving around, and particularly if there is quite a commotion and a celebration from the rest of the herd, that'll attract all sorts of attention towards her, particularly at this particularly intimate time. Look how she's kind of resting her trunk over her tusks, trying to conserve energy. Standing very awkwardly as well. Look at her front leg kind of right behind her back leg, her two back legs. I mean, her front left leg kind of behind her front right leg, her two back legs still separated. Really hoping that gravity almost brings and pulls that amniotic sac out. Tandy, does the herd assist her in any time? I mean, the herd is almost constantly assisting her with support and protection. You see how that other one's kind of come into the picture behind there? It's never ventured too far away. And I mean, elephants, particularly at this time of the day when it's cool, they can cover large distances feeding. But the rest of the herd have stuck by her side permanently. So from that point of view, they are always assisting. But in terms of the actual birth, this mom's all on her own, I'm afraid. And she's the one that's going to have to deal with it. Which is quite tricky. And you'll see once she does give birth, she'll be the one that kind of separates the sac, the amniotic sac and the baby, and kind of cleans it off and dries it off. And she'll be the one whether she decides whether she accepts it or rejects it. But the rest of the herd will make this kind of protective shield around her and the newborn calf. Look at the other one. I'm sure, just from the response of this little one throughout the course of the day, look how it's going to mom. Almost checking up on her, seeing if she's okay. I'm sure this is the first time that calf, maybe at around 5 or 6 years old, maybe that's even a bit old, is just checking if mom is all right. She's never seen her in a stressed situation quite like this. I love that trunk kind of over the tusks. Just taking it easy, conserving energy that she's really going to need all her energy for a little bit later. So, I mean, we were talking about the protection. I mean, it's a really small herd. I've only seen 4 members. And then the 4th one that we haven't seen is just coming to the road at the moment. Here it is. Moving around, never leaving the side of this female. I mean, she's quite vulnerable at the moment, but that calf is the serious worry. And a small herd of 4, they actually will really welcome this extra member because of how social these animals are. Look at the little one having a wee at the back, right behind mom. Better hope mom doesn't do the same at this point. Look at her almost pushing that tree just because it's there. She's not feeding off it at all. She's just leaning against it. I mean, if she was trying to lean against a tree and use it for support, it doesn't look like a very good one. It's just bending straight over. It would look like mom nearly stood on that other one's trunk. I'm sure we would have heard a yelp or a little trumpet then. It's almost like mom has got... You know, I'm sure she's going through quite a lot of pain. She's just pushing up against something, trying to almost distract herself from this pain. But how brave is she? She hasn't made one noise the whole afternoon. Or any real obvious signs of pain, and I'm sure she's in a great deal. She's shown us some amounts of discomfort. But while we've got a really good view, I'm going to still stick around here for the next short while, but I'm going to send you over to Tristan at Djuma one more time.
Well, I think Tandy's in some amount of discomfort too from the distended belly, and so is her cub. They're both full, but it was so nice. We had a nice little interaction of the two of them coming together and meeting one another. Here, look, they're coming again. No, Mom, don't be ugly to him. He's just coming to say hello. She's always so grumpy with her cubs. Shame boy. Tandy, be nice to your son. There's no need to be ugly. So she's going to rather come and say hello to us. That is her going under the car. Why are you going under the car? It's the first time I've ever had her actually walk under the vehicle. She normally goes around. And now she's sitting. Marcel, she wants to make friends with you. Hello, Michael. The problem when she's this close is you can't move too much with her because... No, don't go to the toilet. No. She's making a poo right behind Marcel. Marcel, enjoy the smell there, buddy. It's not going to be nice. Here comes little one. He's not so sure about coming as close to us as what she just did. Let's see if he'll do the same. This is amazing. Hello, little boy. And there's some people that say that he's not relaxed. Well, that just gives you an idea of just how relaxed he has gotten of late. Marcel's trying to slowly shift around without frightening either of them or making Thandi upset. All right, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to quickly send you back to Ngala.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, and we're still here, still watching patiently, as I'm sure you all are. Mom has also been incredibly patient this afternoon. Just dealing with the extra stresses of, while having to look after this little one and the rest of the herd. I mean, moms are quite incredible, aren't they? Having to look how it's kind of pushing this little one along in the road, encouraging it to go and telling it to go and saying that she's all right, the mom is all right, although I'm sure the baby or the younger one wants to give the mom as much support as it can. Mothers are really special, aren't they? Kind of at times when moms or females are at their most vulnerable, at their weakest, in the most amounts of pain, they kind of still find ways or means to look after everyone else. It really is quite special, particularly to watch it in the wild like this. I mean, a lot of us are very familiar with it back at home, but to watch it in the wild like this is really, really special. See how, look at her, put the trunk up back over the tusk. See how all the other ones in the herd are feeding. They're moving around. They're using this time to feed. Mom hasn't fed much at all this afternoon. I'm going to make a bit of space for this little one that's coming towards us. I wonder if it's not Issa trying to kind of clear the way for Mom, or for the female at least. Can you see as it zooms in, can you see all those flying ants, as we used to call them at home, but they're actually termites, they're alates. It's an alate eruption, waiting to try and see if there might not be some birds that come and start flying around. Yeah, it's quite a special time of the year with these alate eruptions. Birds from all over the world will be migrating, looking for these in particular. Look at the female throwing sand all over herself again. I'm sure that's a process in trying to ease the pain and the discomfort. Just standing in the road, hey? Waiting. I'm sure she's got a fair amount of control as to what's actually happening here. I wonder if she's not holding off. Faye, is it normal that we haven't seen any movement from the baby? Because I've never witnessed one of these things, I can't answer your question 100% honestly. However, I am a little bit surprised because I have seen elephants that are heavily pregnant. And sorry, I'm just going to mind the way of this little one before I continue to answer your question. I've seen elephants that are heavily pregnant, and you will often see the young one moving around in the tummy, particularly as it's getting close to, let's say, delivery date or birth. I am a little bit surprised that we haven't seen this baby moving around. Oh, she's kind of moved off the road. I love how that little calf is standing right behind her, watching, learning. And Mom has been so patient with her. She hasn't shrugged her off once. Look how she's like kind of rubbing up against her, consoling Mom. And geez, I think I would have lost patience with the little one who was hanging around while I was in this kind of process. But once again, mothers are special, huh? She's even pushing Mom. Mom will just kind of push back and let the little one do what it needs to or what it wants to. Once again, Mom has kind of gone to a tree, kind of leaning on it more than feeding on it. The little one looks like it's pushing up against Mom, almost copying like some of the stances that Mom has been doing this afternoon. Look how it's like stretching out its back legs. I wonder if it's not trying to show Mom what to do or how to do it. Although that little calf has got no idea what it's doing. Maybe it's just following Mom and trying to watching and learning. Look at this one here, digging in the soft sand after the rain that we've had for the past week. You can actually smell that fresh earth that this one's just dug up. I wonder if it's not looking for a bulb or some roots under there. Let's see if it doesn't pull up a big bulb or a root. And you'll see elephants with, I mean, this is still quite a young elephant, and you can see its short tusks. Elephants with great big tusks will often put their tusks right into the ground to try and fish out a root like that this one might be looking for, to try and break it. And even sometimes break off a tusk doing something like that in the ground. I wonder if it might not even put its front feet down, try and use those tusks. I mean, that's an advantage of having them, of course. And I love how the genetics are so different. Look how this one on the left-hand side's tusks are kind of out to the sides, where that female who we've been watching for the whole afternoon, her tusks are quite straight and actually even kind of go. So you see, BK has just turned on the infrared light. There's no light on these animals whatsoever, so it's still completely dark for them. Quite an impressive piece of technology, actually, to be able to watch them without putting any light or influencing anything that they do. You might even listen out. If this elephant is looking for a root and it gets to it, it'll use its legs to break it. And listen for that snap. It's working quite hard, eh? Using all its body weight. Here comes Mom again. Look at the little one sticking right by her side. Quite an amazing view, and I absolutely love the family structure within a herd of elephants. And this young bull is really getting deep into the ground here, digging quite a deep hole. And is that starting to get a bit darker? I wonder if this isn't the time that Mom's been waiting for the whole afternoon. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons that it's so rare to actually see an elephant giving birth, is that they do often give birth at night and under the cover of darkness when we're not around. And even if you were around, it's not something that you want to bring any unnecessary attention to with a spotlight or anything. That's why this infrared technology is quite unique and quite special, actually. Yeah, so I'm still going to stick with this small herd for the next while. We have got a little bit of time left before the end of drive. Let's all keep our fingers crossed and see if this wonderful feat of nature doesn't come and happen right in front of us. In the meantime, I'm going to send you somewhere else.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name attached to her, so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag, which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
My name is James Hendry, and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favorite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, we haven't moved very far. You see our Mom's actually going to the bathroom again, urinating and defecating. And that's actually been throughout the course of the past 3 hours or so, the time when we really thought it was going to happen. I think in that extra little push, it kind of gets closer. And every time she has, it's kind of, that amniotic sac is kind of dropped a little bit further down, allowed gravity to take control a little bit. But it's also quite interesting in the past half hour or 45 minutes even how close that little one has spent next to Mom. And Mom been so patient with it. It must be quite a stressful time for this little one as well. I mean, this is the first time that Mom is about to bring somebody else that might even mean a little bit more than this one towards her. Although I'm sure there's lots of excitement as well. Yeah, it's almost that typical sibling rivalry kicking in. This one on the left is still digging a hole there, kicking. You can even see on the road all that dark sand. That's all the fresh sand that it's been kicking up. It's quite moist and I'm sure quite cool as well. Mom's kind of coming back in towards the road. Waddling here. She's got an incredibly big head, but even her big belly kind of downsizes a little bit. I'm going to move back a tad, kind of straighten out a little bit. Mom might, if there is something quite exciting in that little hole, maybe a fresh tuber or root. She's actually gone there and she's throwing, I was talking about how that sand might be quite a bit cooler. She's throwing some of that sand on her back. And underneath her, I'm sure that's easing a bit of the discomfort that she's dealing with at the moment. It's amazing now, those three. There's still another elephant that's somewhere off to our right. I mean, it's quite dark, and because there's no light, it's a bit difficult to see around. I know you can see very clearly with the infrared light, but I can just hear this elephant on our right-hand side feeding away. And I can see in the camera as well, these three that are right, all close together. The one close off, you see the female, the pregnant female, throwing all that sand over her back. You can even see that tusk kind of coming over the back of the one that's closest to us. And you can still see right between her back legs, that sack that's kind of just bulging out, waiting to drop. I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen a few leg movements or some wriggling around her belly there. Look, once again, that trunk resting over that tusk. She hasn't been focused on feeding or even drinking much at all this afternoon. I think she's just been trying to deal with this situation. I mean, if she really wanted as well, she could kind of just push that one out the way, but she hasn't done it. I mean, she's been an incredibly good mother this afternoon, looking after the rest of the herd while trying to deal with this incredibly tricky situation. So it has been quite a special afternoon. I mean, very unique for me, and I'm sure unique for all of you guys as well, getting to spend this incredibly personal time with a mature elephant cow that is well into her stages of labor, and I'm really hoping that it ends soon. I mean, this labor stage can last several days. Maybe she's been holding off until this evening so she can give birth. It'll be very interesting. I mean, we're not far from where we stay. This will be definitely the first place that I come and have a look for in the morning. It'll be amazing to see if we can't find a brand new baby moving around, or even more special, and I don't actually hope this for her, if she's going into the last stages of labor where she will be giving birth. And that'll be an incredible tie for us to see her actually giving birth, particularly after this afternoon. But what a special afternoon. Thanks everyone for dealing with us and this elephant cow. She's done an amazing job. I hope you've really enjoyed it. It really has been unique and very special to us all.